Okay, in part two, we pretty much covered the challenges of being a single mother, owning your own business, and being and trying legitimately and honestly trying to, through your actions, trying to save the environment. Just because I love playing both sides of the line, let's flip it around now in part three. What are the benefits? What are like the moments that you remember that were like the best time, shall we say, in all three? And why would you try to do like all three at the same time? Basically take, why would you like suggest anybody's talking to you, like even in everyday conversation, to try two or even all three? So let's talk about that this time.
Okay. Why would anybody want to try two or even all three? Well, a lot of times you don't choose to be a single parent; it gets thrust upon you unexpectedly.
Including the other two.
Right, of course. I see so many needs. I guess there have always been needs in this world, but I see it, broken people, broken systems, broken ecosystems, contaminated, the commons, the things we all depend on, water, air, and land. The commons are being polluted. So there's so much good work in the world that needs to be done. I suggest that, like, if it's even remotely possible, because some people can't do it, they work too much, or they have too many young kids, they're caring for an aged parent, our lives are so full, but if you have anything left over to give, any time, any energy, find something that you really, really care about and use that as a point of engagement, and just try to do something. The old cliche, think globally, act locally, totally applies. There are worldwide problems, but you can't tackle them all by yourself. Find a collective, find a local citizens group, organization, nonprofit, and
or even start something up on your own.
That's true. I mean, it's much harder to start something on your own.
In today's social media world, though, not really. You start up on Facebook, you start up online, and then you get the people together, and then go to the physical world.
Well, I run my own group, but I inherited that. It was something that somebody else started, and then when I moved to the area, she was moving on to something else. So I inherited Lehigh Valley Gas Truth. It's a small.
I haven't even heard of that.
Oh, okay. That's my group. Kathy, formerly Frankenberg, and now Kathy Rauschenberg, who sits on the city council now in Bethlehem. She started Lehigh Valley Gas Truth as part of her work with Clean Water Action, and when she turned it over to me, it was like 150 email addresses, and I've grown it to almost 250 in the past 2 years. So I'm not always doing as much with that as I like. I mean, I'm not necessarily doing. I'm doing kind of more derivative organizing, which means like I'm looking at other people who are the movers and shakers and starting really big projects, and I'm taking my group and making sure that they're like plugged into that, right?
As people have told me, there's only 24 hours in the day.
I know.
And I always learned the hard way, the human body does require sleep and a little bit of recreation.
That's true. Yeah, I've had to get things back in balance too. I was
what's that mean?
Doing what I call frack around the clock, which is like for about 100 hours a week in like 2012, and then I started my business, and I just had to put more time into that. So I knew when I was like 26 and had two toddlers, like an infant and a toddler, I knew that it was like probably. Well, I mean, I went to college for philosophy, but all I had really done up to that point was waitress, and then I had two small children. I'm like, what am I going to do, waitress for the rest of my life? Because I'm probably not going to. Well, I'd still like to go back to school and get a master's and a doctorate. That's been my lifelong dream. Maybe I can get back to that, but school's becoming such a
cliche almost in today's world.
Well, it's a racket. A racket. It costs too much, and It used to be that going to college would like guarantee you a job, and that's just not happening anymore. Now you go to college, you come out, 5 or 6 figures in debt, and there are still no jobs. So this is why I would recommend, not everybody is designed to be an entrepreneur. Some people would rather have a JOB, which I call just over broke. For me, I recognize like almost 20 years ago that was a losing proposition, and all that time ago I always wanted to do something from home because that would allow me to stay with my children or spend more time with my children.
Yeah.
Also would allow me the flexibility to do activism, because if you have your own job, you can do it, your own hours within reason.
And you didn't fall for all these like get rich quick at home schemes out of that.
Well,
there's billions of them out there.
Well, I bought a lot of programs and tried a lot of things. I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, I don't know if I fell for anything, but I tried a lot of things, and you have to learn, what's going to work. What finally worked for me is if you want to go into business for yourself, make sure you have a very solid why. Like after 2-3 years of doing fractivism or environmental advocacy, which is absolutely also advocacy for public health and for human rights. We're not just trying to save the environment. Life depends on the health of our ecosystems. So when the ecosystems are ill, the animals, the farms, the people are going to be ill. So that's what we're really looking at in the big picture. We're looking at public health, advocating for life itself and human rights, the health of the ecosystems that sustain us all. So, where was I going with that? So I always thought, going into business for yourself was probably the only thing that you could do. In this day and age, you can't even depend on people used to get a job and keep it their whole lives or whatever.
Get to go watch your retirement.
Companies are so mercenary. Corporate culture is so mercenary. They just assume slash 20,000 people and employ people at poverty wages, somewhere else in the world. And
or even in this country, it's cheaper for a company to cut, like all my experiences in warehousing. Okay, you're there 5 years. Guess what? We're going to drop you because we can hire someone on a minimum at $10 an hour versus the 15.
Exactly. Even teachers are feeling the pinch. They'll cut teachers who are getting paid more just to hire brand new teachers with no experience so that they can pay them less. It's really, really evil. So you can't trust, that job is going to be there for you, that you're going to get a pension, that you can even have benefits. It just gets more and more risky. So I consider, it's not the first time it's been said, certainly, we're living like a new economy. And I have been thinking in the paradigm of I need to create my own livelihood, not just this conventional dependency. Oh, I need to go get a job. Chances are, and I had a really recent experience with that, a job will be over so hard. People will abuse you, bully you, and it won't happen to everybody. But I had a very bad recent employment experience. Even after I started my own business, I went back for a job to supplement, and it did not go well.
But now here's the flip side of it, though.
Yeah.
Depending on what you do, like if you start up a physical business in your own area, that's hard enough. But if you start up on something that relies on selling your product online, that's a lot harder because it's getting harder and harder unless you have something really unique, real new, and real different to distinguish yourself. So you have to have the time, or at least one other person to do the marketing for you.
Well, absolutely. That's why I'm a marketing consultant. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was going to say that if you choose to go into business for yourself, make sure you have a really good why. I started to say that after a couple of years of environmental advocacy that I discovered such a love for my local community that I thought, well, I want to bring all my my streams of income into alignment with my values, because I don't want to be doing something for a living that's destroying the earth while I'm spending my volunteer time trying to, protect it. I don't want to be selling garbage from China, when I'm criticizing corporations for outsourcing to China. You know what I mean? I wanted congruence in my life, and I wanted congruence in my income. So I love my community so much, that the strength and health of communities comes down to local businesses and local economies. And the strength of community. All right. Well, I'm just giving you my answer to your
I know.
question.
I'm saying it's,
So I just connected to the love in my heart for community and said that, anything that that increases the health and strength and interconnectedness of local business and community economy is what I want to be doing, because that's what I really care about. It aligns with my heart. So that's why I became an internet marketing business consultant for local businesses. If you want to go into business, there are so many people that have like tried it, been there, done that. What you don't want to try to reinvent the wheel. What I did is I went out and I invested every penny of cash and credit I had in the world to join what's called like a mastermind group. It's like I found all the people who were doing internet marketing for local businesses who were already on the cutting edge and had already been doing it successfully for 5 years. And I paid to learn from them so that I don't have to figure everything out for myself. They kind of like gave me the plan. So if you find something that you want to do on your own, see if there's some kind of coaching. All the things that I tried for so many years and had to like give up or throw out, it's because I didn't have a mentor. They say having a mentor is like actually your number one guaranteeing factor for success. So I was struggling trying to do things on my own for years and years. So when I finally went for it and invested, I used my credit. I won't lie. I invested in joining a mastermind group and not having to reinvent the wheel and having it all handed to me. So, and they're busy like figuring out the new cutting edge all the time, and they keep feeding that back to me because I don't have time to be researching the cutting edge in my own career. I'm too busy running the business. So like they do that for me. So that's how I make that work. And it's still hard. I mean, being in business for yourself, being a freelancer or whatever, it's not easy. Your income's not guaranteed, but I find it more satisfying.
And you still have a lot of legwork to do that. You still have to go out and get the clients and everything else. There's still a lot of legwork.
That's what I do, of course. I'm the project manager. I do the consulting. I create the strategy. I get the clients. I manage the projects. And then my model is to I do some of the tech work, but then some of it I outsource to trusted people, not just anybody. So.
All right, let's wind this out, and from all three aspects individually, and then the three combined, advice to other people.
Mm-hmm. That was the advice part. Is like if you're gonna create your own livelihood, try to find a mastermind group. Try to find a coach, somebody who's already successful at doing what you want to do, and emulate them. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, because that'll be too much work, and you'll get tired. Or maybe you won't, but that's my personal
It'll wear
advice.
you down.
Yeah.
That's about as far as I'm saying on that.
Yeah.
Now, what about from the being a single mother side? Advice to the other single parent, mothers or fathers, because there's a lot of single fathers out there, and you just don't hear about it.
Creating your own livelihood, if you can work from home, is great. It's tough to run a brick and mortar business. There's a ton of investment, and those businesses close. That's why I'm not even selling like product, I'm selling service. I'm a consultant. So if you can find some way to become a consultant in your area of expertise, that's absolutely the easiest way to go.
Okay. Now, what about people who want to get involved with the environmental part?
I could run over there and pick up the Alliance for Sustainable Communities local guide. Find out what the volunteer orgs are in your community for the thing that you care about. Pick one thing that you really, really care about, and connect with that and join with like-minded people who are already working on it. Or if you have some brilliant, groundbreaking idea, go start your own group, but that's more work. But, connect with people. I would suggest as a first step, at least, to connect with people who are doing that work in your community already. And if if you can't influence them, or if your vision conflicts with theirs, then you may have to start your own group. But it's easier to join with people who are already doing the same thing, and at least find out what they're doing, so that you don't go out and actually try to reinvent and replicate what some people are already doing. We have so much overlap, and people aren't organized. The point of doing
In which case
community
it could
work.
conflict with the two could conflict also.
Well, it's just a lack of leverage. It's a wasting time because somebody has already done the groundwork, and you're like trying to do the groundwork for the same thing. You know, you don't realize that other people are already doing it. So it's about leverage. It's about community organizing. You know, if you have 3 groups working on the same problem, they're not communicating. They're not getting as much done.
Welcome to our political system.
Yeah, well, you know, that's why it's so important to organize in your community, because when you're organized, then you can share. You know, it's like I have watched the fractivist movement and the anti-extreme energy, you know, pro-renewable energy, and the fossil fuel economy groups, like that whole movement, like grow up from kind of its maybe not infancy, but there's been a huge groundswell in the last 4 years, and I've watched all these little grassroots orgs pop up, you know, in my community, in my state, and all across the United States, and have connected with, you know, 1,000 people or more doing that work. And what we've actually had to do is, you know, we organize on a state level. Then all the, you know, all the people in that movement, we all met in Washington, D.C., and we started building, you know, an organizational structure nationwide. You know, so I was in D.C. when 5,000 of us were doing that work at the end of July 2012. We spent 4 days in D.C. organizing, pooling our resources, compiling lists and databases so that, you know, a grassroots group in Oregon didn't have to do the work that was already done by another grassroots group in Pennsylvania. You know, it just makes sense.
And in today's world, it's so easy to communicate.
Right. And, you know, we had part 2, like a year later, or a year and a half later, we were in Dallas. A year and a half later, we were in Dallas, Texas, the national organization is called Stop the Frack Attack. So I was so lucky, so fortunate. I had a full scholarship to go there. I was flat ass broke when that happened. They paid for my flight, they paid for the conference, they paid for the hotel, and I didn't even have any spending money to go. And when I went to pack, I like grabbed this fanny pack that I hadn't used for a few months, and
cash.
I unzipped. I found $100 bill. Can you freaking believe that? So like the angels were totally taking care of me for that trip.
Once I get some money, I want to settle down in a place. I used to do that, and it's like
hide money so you find it later.
Yeah, it's like I even do that in my wallet, where I'll put it in a different pocket and slot in my wallet, and all of a sudden when I'm flat broke, oh shit, I got $5. You know, it's so it's always a good thing. That's good advice for anybody to do that. You know, you know, especially when it comes around Christmas time, you want to spend a little more. Okay, just tear the house apart, and you will find it at some. You're tearing it apart for Christmas season. Anyway, But so anything else you want to add?
No, that's kind of my best words on.
By the way, did you see where the link led to
Yeah, to my Facebook page for my business. Thank you. I really appreciated that.
No problem. I always include links because the main purpose of me doing the video isn't for people to watch it. It's for people to listen to it. And if they're on their computers or tablets, okay, click on the link, bam.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll just mention. I'll just, with your permission, I'll give a 2-second plug. My company's Gemini
That's
Social
what this
Enterprises.
section's for.
Okay.
That's what this whole section's for.
My business is called Gemini Social Enterprises. I do internet marketing strategy for local businesses. So if you own a local business of any kind and you want to be #1 on Google for when people search for your niche and location, like Bethlehem Chiropractor, you want to be #1. That's what I do for businesses. So anything that has to do with like getting more customers using the internet, email marketing, social media, search marketing.
And you're not just local here either. You also get clients from
You're right.
over there.
I have a client in New York City. I'm not limited to Lehigh Valley at all, but I focus on serving them. But I get other inquiries.
You can't, unless you have a local restaurant, you can't be limited to the local market. I mean, from the moment I started up, I evolved my magazine from the blog to the magazine.
That's not true. Some businesses do serve only local.
No, but I'm saying unless you're limited to the local area with your.
Those are the businesses I serve.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you still have to think, if you sell anything online, you have to think globally. You can't just think locally anymore. Am I right or am I wrong? You have to think in a wider.
selling stuff straight
Yeah.
online. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you
But
know.
not every business is doing that.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses have a brick and mortar store. They're hawking a service
Yeah.
from a location.
Yeah, but I'm saying
yeah.
like with yours, you can say you can still do it online. So
Yeah, I can. Since I'm an internet marketing strategist, I can work for anybody. But the kind of people get that mixed up though. They think, say somebody starts a website and they want to sell, product A.
Yeah.
They're like, can you get me number one on Google? I'm like, actually, no. I serve local businesses that want to be found for their niche and location. If you want to be global, I mean, there are ways to get ranked for that, but that's not actually my specific thing.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and now I can drink my coffee.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Not a problem.
Thank you.